Hey Revolutionaries, I'm excited to bring you this week's episode with Hal Walker, where we're talking musical exploration and TikTok. Yeah, TikTok. It's really interesting. Hal is a very creative multi-instrumentalist who's jumped on the platform just back in January, just recently, and has started to blow up on TikTok, and especially with collaborations on TikTok. So it's pretty interesting. It's a very interesting platform I didn't know much about. That's why I wanted to have him on. Just because I think it'll parallel for all of us out there to keep embracing new technologies, kind of reinventing our view of the world, but also can help all different types of businesses, not just a content creation sort of music-oriented business, but many different things out there. So excited for you guys to listen to this episode. But before we get there, I wanted to give a shout out to a couple folks that dropped some 5-star reviews recently. And one is entitled Steve Cortica, 5 stars by Liv Noir out there. She says, I really enjoyed your podcast. I found it through Steve Cortica about your show, found out about it through Steve about your show, and Steve slays. Huge fan. So thanks for checking out Steve on the show. So Steve Cortica, that was a last episode about Steve escaping New York when the COVID crisis was hitting and, reinventing, figuring out how to be a work musician during these times when there's no gigs and stuff. So thanks, Steve, for being on the show. Here's another one from Ridiculous Patronus 1, I think. That's how you say that. It says, fantastic, 5 stars. Very informative for entrepreneurs and advancing in your career. The host is very engaging, and this positive idea very helpful. Very, very relatable. Looking forward to more. So cool. Really appreciate those reviews. And up to 19 5-star ratings, by the way, too. So thanks, everybody who's just taking the time to give back, share a review, and also share the show with your friends. That's really the best thing out there to do if you want to show your love for the show, is to tell somebody about it, share an episode with them, and we can all benefit and grow and learn together. So, and I love giving shout outs for the reviews. So if you drop one, you may hear your name on an upcoming episode. And speaking of shout outs, take a listen closely to this episode where I've updated the sponsor spot from MG Schlachter. MG Schlachter now is focusing on some different niche websites and services, and the new one they have out is called MGS Graphics Pro. And there is a discount code with this one. So if you go to mgsgraphicspro.com/JJRR, you'll get a 15% discount on your first work that you'll have them do. Listen to the promo spot, but I want to give them a shout out for sticking with the show and being our sponsor. All right, so let's get to this week's episode with Hal Walker. This episode of Jim's Reinvention Revolution is brought to you by MGS Graphics, a graphics production support firm delivering services to ad agencies, graphic designers, brand managers, retailers, and product manufacturers worldwide. MGS Graphics is not only reinventing, they are revolutionizing graphics production support. So how do they do it? Well, they free up your team to focus on big ideas while MGS Graphics handles the execution. Their skilled experts are ready to jump in when your project load spikes so you can avoid the headaches and extra overhead cost of hiring new staff. Plus, you won't lose out on work opportunities because of delivery and production timelines. Did you know their skilled staff of professionals use the best and most widely used graphics software on the market? And when it comes to project management, MGS Graphics provides the highest level of customer service by assigning you a dedicated project manager. And they use the industry-leading project management software to ensure all communication, deadlines, and deliverables are met. This allows teams and clients to collaborate with each other in real time, no matter where you are around the world. Need more than just production? MGS Graphics also has a fully staffed creative team. Ask about their design services and agency partnerships. So, if you're looking for a partner to accelerate and support your business's growth, go to mgsgraphicspro.com/JJRR for 15% off your first project. 15%? That is revolutionary. Go to mgsgraphicspro.com/JJRR. That's mgsgraphicspro.com/JJRR.
Welcome to Jim's Reinvention Revolution podcast. the show that explores reinvention in the digital age as it relates to career, creativity, and technology. Stay tuned for interviews with professionals, entrepreneurs, and creatives that have reimagined success and are making a pivot. If you'd like to listen to the entire back catalog, visit JimJim'sReinventionRevolution.com for instant access. And now, here's your host, Jim Jim.
Hey everybody, hey, this is Jim Jim, and welcome to episode 69 of Jim Jim's Reinvention Revolution podcast. And I'm talking today with Hal Walker, and we're talking musical exploration and TikTok. So, Hal, welcome to the Reinvention Revolution.
Great to be here, Jim. Thanks for having me.
Well, I can't wait to talk to you about TikTok because I almost know nothing about it. Okay, so when we were talking earlier, I was like, it's been on my mind to explore, and I know other people listening out there, I'm sure they're probably in the same boat where they've been hearing about it and thinking about it and trying to figure out, is this right for me or for my business, or how would I even use it? Is it just a creative platform? What do you do with this thing really? And so you came up on my radar, I guess maybe a week or two ago, and I think I might have saw one of your videos on TikTok, even though we connected on Facebook, I think first or something. I downloaded the app just a few months ago and haven't used it at all. But I noticed you were on there, and when I saw what you were doing, I was like, wow, this is really cool. It's really creative. And I think we have a kindred spirit in your sort of exploration approach to music and your creative part. So even though I'm a technologist by training, like physics and masters, and I've developed advanced technologies, I'm also a musician and appreciate different types of music. So before we get into TikTok specifically, I want people to understand, more about who you are as a musical explorer, a singer, a songwriter, and multi-instrumentalist. So tell people what you've been up to, man.
Well, one thing is I'm an unlikely candidate for TikTok. I'm a 54-year-old guy that plays all original music. And TikTok is a venue for young people doing dances to pop songs.
Right.
So I have found a natural fit for myself doing what I've been doing for years, which is playing unique musical instruments in sort of unconventional or sort of modern ways. Like I take these instruments, these ancient instruments from far off lands, and play them in a very modern, in a very contemporary way. And I've been doing it in schools for years. That's a big part of my living is I'm a visiting artist in schools, and I've been doing it in my church. I'm the music director of a church, and I do it in my gigs around Ohio. But I recently found this venue of TikTok, and it has just been amazing, the reception I've gotten there. These young people, for the most part, I believe, love my music because it sounds like video game music. It sounds like all the video games they're playing, and every other comment is like, play mine. You sound like Minecraft. You sound like a Zelda.
Oh, I love it.
I'm like, okay, go for it. Yeah, take it.
That's
and
really
I
cool.
have just taken off. Today I have almost 50,000 followers on TikTok. And, I am just such an unlikely candidate, but for some reason they love me.
Well, that's awesome. Well, I think it's the uniqueness, or at least partially due to the uniqueness of what you're doing in your creative approach. So can you explain, there's a couple of instruments I wanted to ask you about specifically, because you play many. You play guitar and you play a lot of percussion instruments, but there was a couple, and I hope I get the pronunciation right. One in particular that I wanted to ask you about is called the banakula? Banakula? How do you say that?
Banakula, yeah.
Banakula, okay.
Banakulas.
So explain what that is and how you use it or what you do with it.
Well, it's hard to explain. You really got to see it to believe it. And that is, by the way, is my use. That's my handle on TikTok is banakula.
Oh, okay.
It's traditionally an African instrument. It's two seed pods tied together with a string, and each of these dried gourd seed pods has gravel in it. So they shake, and then I juggle them. I spin them and juggle them and clack them and whack them and do all these different things in order to create really interesting polyrhythms. And it's quite a satisfying thing to hear, but it's especially amazing to see because, that was the thing that really took off on TikTok first. I I put a video in at the beginning of January of me playing the banakulas, and I had a harmonica strapped on my neck at the same time. And I put a 15-second video up, and no one has ever seen this before. Like, this is completely new to all the thousands and millions of people on TikTok.
Right.
It's quite a sight to see, and just 15 seconds pretty much blew people away, and it took off, and that was what started my TikTok career. But it's just, it's an instrument that I've been playing for probably almost 15 years. A friend of mine, drummer Joe from Stowe, went to West Africa, and he brought back, I saw him walking down the street in Kent one day, and I was like, what are those? And he gave me a pair. He was playing it on the street, and I just happened to be at the right place at the right time.
Nice.
And I saw him. The amazing part of the story is he had just been in West Africa. His parents live in Stowe, Ohio, and he was on his way to move to San Francisco. He was only in the area for a few days, and I happened to be at the right spot at the right time when I saw him walking down the street playing the banakulas.
Wow.
And I said, I have to have those. I do this school program called Music That Fits in Your Pocket. And this is the epitome. The banakulas are the epitome of music that fits in your pocket. So right away, I knew that my life had just changed. And I kind of became, now I own banakula.com, and I am Banakula, on all the different platforms. Banakula is my password and my...
Okay. Well, you're the Banakula guy now. All right, cool, man.
I am the Banakula guy.
All right, cool. Well, I'm going to try and find some audio of it and maybe throw it under our conversation as we're talking here so people can hear what it sounds like, because it's pretty neat. And like you said, the visual is pretty interesting. And that was just one of the ones, obviously, that I was drawn to, too. I was like, what is that thing? I mean, I've seen other shakers and cabasas and those types of things like that are more for salsa music, Latin music, but I hadn't seen that one, so that's from West Africa. Pretty interesting. There's also another instrument that I was really drawn to, and I think this is, like you were alluding to before, got some of those video game type sounds to it, and that's the Khaen. Is that how you say it, or Khaen?
Yeah, it's called the Khaen. Just
Khaen.
Straight up Khaen.
Okay, how do you
spell Khaen? The
Khaen. Okay, and where did that come from?
That is an instrument from Northeast Thailand and Laos.
Okay, it's
of the Isan people and the Hmong people of that area, and it's an amazing mouth organ. It's about 4. The one I play is about 4, maybe 3. I haven't actually ever measured it, but maybe 3 feet tall.
Yeah,
it's a big mouth organ.
Okay.
And it's also quite a sight to see. It's like people have never seen this sight before of me holding this chamber of these pipes. There's about 18 pipes that are strapped together.
Okay.
And they're just shooting way up into the sky. And then I make this amazing sort of huge organ sound. And that is what, back to the subject of TikTok, that instrument I have basically made that instrument sort of legendary in the TikTok. Like it's right. Everyone is like, I want one of those. Where can I get one? And unfortunately, it's very difficult to get one.
That's super cool.
It just makes a beautiful, warm organ, funky. You can do all kinds of rhythms, and I play it very different than the traditional way. Mm-hmm. So I've made up this kind of pretty Western sounding, pretty kind of hip hop way to play the melodious Khaen.
I see. Well, cool. I've actually been to Thailand, so I've been traveling to Asia the last 4 or 5 years, and I'm sure there's some listeners out there that are in this digital nomad world that I've met and probably are listening to the podcast that also have been to Thailand and to northern, Thailand, like Chiang Mai. I don't know, maybe not the way northeastern part where you're saying these instrument comes from, but I don't think I've run into this. I've seen it in Thailand. How did you discover it?
That's a good question. It's very specific to Northeast Thailand. Like, you won't find them in Bangkok. You won't find them in Chiang Mai. But it's Northeast Thailand, and which is kind of a rural part of the place. It just so happens that there's a professor of ethnomusicology at Kent State University that specializes in the music of the Isan people, which is Northeast Thailand.
Oh, I didn't know that. That's interesting. Okay.
Yeah, and I'm a harmonica player. I've always been a harmonica player, and I was I think I was at his house one night, and he pulled out this can, and I was just blown away. And he lent me one, and then the one he lent me died.
Okay.
They kind of die in this weather. It's from from a tropical
certainly not
climate.
Thailand.
It doesn't do well in Ohio.
Mm-hmm.
But so I ended up going to Thailand with Dr. Terry Miller.
Oh, you did?
And
okay.
he brought me to the makers of the Khaen in Northeast Thailand. And I went to villages where there was no running water and no electricity, and men who know how to make this complex, amazing, ancient instrument.
Wow.
With this very modern, incredible sound.
That is so interesting. It makes me want to go check out that area next time I go back.
I know.
When we can travel again, whenever that will be. But
well, it makes me want to find someone to learn how to make the thing, because the makers are actually dying. There are very few makers. They pump out some tourist models, but the really good makers, there are very few. And the art form is, no one knows about this instrument.
Yeah.
There are about, 4 or 5 players in the U.S.
That's it. Wow. Well, there'll probably be more now if they can find an instrument.
Probably so.
Once they start seeing you on TikTok, that is super interesting. So, because I was there,
the way that instrument is taken off on TikTok is amazing. Yeah. Like I've got this one video. I'm playing the Khaen in a parking garage in Cleveland, and it's coming up on I think 700,000 views.
Oh my God.
Just in a few weeks.
That's incredible. Well, it's super cool. I'm telling you, people, you have to again, I'll try and throw some audio of it under our conversation here, but you got to go out and see it, check out, the TikTok videos and hear it. And it's just a whole experience. It's really cool. That's why I was like, I can't believe I didn't really run into this up in Thailand. I guess it's really unique. I was going to say, I was up in the Golden Triangle. Is that close to where you're talking about up in Thailand, where it's like Thailand, Laos, and it's like 3 countries come together up there on the.
I'm not familiar
river?
with the term Golden Triangles, and I don't know my
so
geography.
Maybe it wasn't
well
close there, but all right. Well, something for me to kind of check out if I'm ever next time I'm over there. But interesting.
Yeah, I'd love to go back. Unfortunately, I probably won't be going back. But
yeah, it's a long haul.
I loved it. I was there for a couple weeks, and it was just such a magical place.
Yeah, it really is. Well, cool, man. Well, okay, so if people haven't figured this out yet, you really are this interesting multi-instrumentalist, and you have these different approaches to taking on these unique instruments. Like you said, you play them a little bit differently. Where do you think that comes from? Or it's just through the lens of guy that grew up in Kent, or are you from Kent originally, or what kind of drew you to music in the first place?
Basically, it was trying to attract a girlfriend in college. I was desperate to try and get a girlfriend,
right.
So I bought my first guitar.
Classic story, man.
Yeah, right. But I mean, I grew up taking classical piano lessons, and I grew up listening to top 40 music. We didn't have I was really unknowledgeable in the world of music. Like my senior year of high school, I was introduced to the Rolling Stones and the Who. Mm-hmm. And then my freshman year of college, I heard Neil Young and Crosby, Stills and Nash for the first time. And I was like blown away.
Right.
And then in my freshman year of college, I started hanging out with these guys that were doing drum circles. Mm-hmm. And I was like, whoa, I'm actually pretty good at this. I was always good at playing the piano, but suddenly I could actually keep a beat on a drum. And I was like, whoa, I'm doing this without reading any music. And then I had been playing the harmonica, playing Amazing Grace and Oh Suzanne on the harmonica for years. Mm-hmm. And at college, I discovered blues harmonica, and I was going to Northwestern University, and I would walk down into Chicago and just bring my harmonica, and I would seek out parking garages and stairwells and just jam out. And I learned to jam, and the harmonica was really the first instrument that I started jamming on.
Oh, nice. Okay.
And then over the years, just other instruments have come my way, and I just have a real natural kind of rhythmic sense. I play a lot of stuff very rhythmically, and I have a real natural sense of just improvising melodies.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah, I noticed that as I'm thinking about it, you just remind me of something of when I started looking at your stuff that I think is pretty unique. And I don't know if you know this about yourself. You probably do, just over the years of just figuring this out. But I really appreciate it as a musician, as just a fan of music. As you know, you're very skilled and you play all these different instruments. But when I'm looking at your stuff, you have this way about you, like you said, this natural way that I kind of fall into Hal's world as I'm watching you. Like
Right.
you're like I know tons of musicians that are super skilled, that are shredders, that are, you know, doing all these crazy gymnastics on their instruments, which is impressive and amazing, whatever. But you are so skilled and so subtle that like I forget all about that and I just drop right into your world. It's pretty interesting.
Well, that's a big compliment.
I love it because it's like, man, how come there's not more people like this out there? And when I think about great artists, that's what happens when you stumble upon a great artist. You forget what they're doing is impressive or whatever. You just fall into their world and you're just enjoying it, and it's really speaking to you. So that's pretty cool. I wanted to get that out before I forget it.
Yeah, I
to say
appreciate
it. You know
that.
what I mean?
That's nice.
And
Yeah,
hopefully-
I'm a natural born musician. I was just born.
Yeah.
You know, it's what I am to the core.
Yeah, you're not there
And
to.
I'm not as you know, if I practiced, I'd be a whole lot more amazing. You know, if I really practiced, and I do practice, but I've got so many things going on, I just don't have time to practice. And
Right. Well, you're
Just
you're
imagine
exploring
if
all
I
these
practiced.
new technologies.
imagine if I was practicing every day for 3 hours over the last 20 years. But I just have a natural ability to do some basic cool stuff.
Yeah, you do. You do. Well, let's talk a little bit more specifically about TikTok in terms of the stuff you're exploring and the other things you do with your time other than practicing is producing videos and video content. And I want to talk a little more specifically about how to use TikTok and what the capabilities are. Like, it's a video platform, but how long can the videos be? Can you kind of give everybody an
Sure,
idea
yeah.
of what is this thing that people are talking about?
Well, it's essentially a platform for being creative in less than a minute, and those are the things that I'm best at. Like I couldn't write a whole novel or a whole, you know, writing a whole CD for me is a challenge, but I'm really good at short ideas, short amazing ideas. So you know, the video has to be less than a minute. I have some video editing skills and everything, and some sound engineering skills, but basically everything I'm doing is setting my phone toward myself, hitting the record button and recording myself making music for a few seconds.
Mm-hmm.
And then I put it up there. And the thing I love about it is how easy it is. Like I don't have to go into my editing software. I have gotten into some editing too, because like, okay, if they like that, they're going to like this even better. So I'm going to bring my stuff into the editing software and do even more.
Mm-hmm.
But really, it's just a great venue for me for just being creative in less than a minute. Like, here's my idea for the day. And I've been posting essentially one video a day since January. And, you know, some of them don't do that well. There's just some of my favorite ones that have not done well. Like I posted this song. I wrote this song called Lilac City, and I do a virtual duet with this child with a beautiful singing voice.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a great video. It's a great sound and it's a great video, but they weren't interested. They want to hear video game. They want to hear more video game music.
It's hard to know what resonates with the public out there. Yeah, that's so interesting. That's what I found. So I've actually dug into it since our last conversation when we were talking just a few days ago. I actually tried to dig into it a little bit because I downloaded it on my phone, but I never really played around with it. And I am realizing now that it is super easy. Like, I thought it would be more complicated to produce a video, but you basically just turn it on. It's kind of like Instagram. It's only mobile, right? Like, you can't use it on your laptop.
Yeah, that's correct.
Right? So you have to record the video on your phone. So that's kind of one level of less complication, I guess, in a way. And you just turn it on. And this way to do duets, so there's a duets function, meaning you can find videos that are already on TikTok and click the duet function, and then you can record side by side with the previously recorded video, right?
That's been the coolest part of the collaborative part of TikTok is my favorite thing. Like I was putting all these there. I put the ocarina, the Jews harp, the jaw harp, the concertina, the Khaen and the banakulas, all these different instruments I was putting out there. Well, what you really want to happen is an amazing other artist to come and take your stuff and create something even more amazing. So this guy Nem Raps, who is quite well known on YouTube, I turned on TikTok and he had created a video out of all my sounds. And it's my favorite experience so far on TikTok. It's an amazing video. I recommend everyone go look at it. Nem Raps is he's a star on YouTube, and he jumped over to TikTok one day and just happened to scroll across my sound. And the next day he created this amazing video, basically taking all my sounds and sampling them, and then turning this little 1 minute version of all my sounds and me playing them into this amazing video.
That's really cool. Yeah.
So and then I can do the same thing. I've done, if I hear something I like, I can use that and then add to it. And then other people you can add a harmony to it, add a new line, new melody to it, whatever. So that's been the coolest thing is the collaborative aspect of it.
Yeah, I didn't realize how powerful it was that you could do duets. Like when we were talking the other day, I didn't even know that function existed. Now I can find it in the app. So you click the share button to find it.
I'm very interested in building the musical community of TikTok. There's a lot of trash on TikTok, but there's also a lot of amazing, especially in the last couple of months. I started in January, and that was before TikTok blew up. I mean, TikTok has been blowing up for maybe 6 months or so, but I got there right at the beginning, and I took off. And I would say now is harder than ever to get started in TikTok, because it's easy to make a video, but it's so hard for anyone to notice. Like, I'm finding these guys that are doing incredible produced minute-long videos with amazing skill and video editing skills, but they're just not getting, there's so many people doing it,
right, that
they're not getting followers, and they're not getting, it's really hard to jump in there right now. But
I think you need maybe just this unique thing that you're doing that's, not everyone is playing a Khaen.
Right. No one's playing the Khaen.
Right, yeah.
But there is one other guy playing the Khaen, but no one's noticing him. He's not playing any. For some reason, it's my approach to it that is.
Interesting.
And there's another woman today. I saw her playing the banakulas, but it's already been there, done that. Right. I've already seen that. Hal did that back in January.
I gotcha. So what got you going on TikTok in the first place? Why did you jump in on it?
Well, that's a really good question. It's a funny story. I make my living, or up until this COVID, I was making a big part of my living in schools, working as a visiting artist and doing assemblies. And last fall, I was doing an assembly, and I always have a question and answer time at the end. And this young fifth grader said, stood up and asked, "Are you on TikTok?" And I said, "No." And she said, "You should be." So I went home that night and I downloaded TikTok. And my very first video that I put up was me singing the first phrase of, "I'm off the deep end, watch as I dive in, I'll never meet the ground."
Right.
And it got 20, and because these girls at that elementary school said they would follow me if I started a TikTok account. So they all liked it. Right. And then nothing happened, and I kind of gave up. It's funny. No, this is not for me. I don't know any of the cover tunes. And then in January, I opened it up again, and I think my second video was playing the ABCs on the jaw harp, and that got some attention. It got maybe 100 views or something, and I was confident that I had this sense that I would this is the right venue for me, because I'm good at quick ideas, but I wasn't getting any feedback, and I didn't understand the app, and I didn't understand how to jump in there. And it was my third or maybe fourth video where I was sitting at my kitchen table, and I do this 15-second video of me playing the banakulas and the harmonica. And then a couple days passed and it got a few likes, but then people started commenting like, I'm here before this blows up. And they're saying, this is going to blow. This is going to blow up.
Oh, interesting.
And it's like they
saw something, man.
They saw something. And then the amazing thing is when people start using your sound to create their own video.
Right.
Then people started using my 15-second sound to do their own thing.
Mm-hmm.
So they're doing their own video, but behind it is me playing the banakulas. And that's a big part of TikTok is sharing sounds.
Right.
So they're taking my sound and creating a video, and suddenly tens and even 100 people were using my 15-second sound to create their own video. And then that just like the views become exponential.
Right.
And like I was just watching, like I would just sit there and watch my phone, and the followers were coming and the views were coming. And at the first time, it was very exciting.
Right.
And then it settles in, and it's like you want more, and you want like when's the next round of excitement? It's a very addictive.
Yeah, you got to jump to the next level
thing.
somehow, right?
When am I going to get the next level? Like, this is not enough. 50,000 is not enough. 50,000 is actually small time in TikTok.
Right, I see. Yeah.
You know, when am I going to get to 100,000 or 500,000?
Right. Well, maybe off this podcast, you know, we'll try to get you there, man. But, well, you know, the wisdom of a fifth grader. That's pretty interesting to throw that idea out there for you. She
sensed there was the right venue.
Right. She knew what she was talking about. Well, you know,
and
there's
it's funny.
another...
I'm like a wholesome guy. I think I have a reputation as being very wholesome and kind of whatever. But now I'm this TikTok guy. So
you've gone to the dark
I'm
side.
I'm trying to bring a wholesome aspect to
right.
TikTok.
I gotcha. Yeah, I'm sure.
But I will.
There's an audience. You know,
I am interested in telling you about my show that I've started, which really came out of TikTok.
Okay. Yeah. Is that this moment in music? Is that the show you're talking about?
This moment in music.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. Tell me about it.
Well, in TikTok, I started meeting all these musicians from around the world. Like I met this woman that plays the array and bira from California. I'm not sure where she's from. I can't remember. And this other multi-instrumentalist from Arkansas. I met this woman, this percussionist from Israel. I met these other guys from Australia. So I started getting there's a small community of musicians on TikTok. And I've had this idea for years of this YouTube live show called This Moment in Music. And it is a laid-back musical exploration of the creative process. And for the last 3 weeks, I just did episode 8 today.
Okay.
I heard you say, I think this is episode 69 of your show.
Right.
Yeah, that's cool. But I'm on episode 8, and
nice.
basically every day I host Monday, Wednesday, and Friday live on YouTube. I host a musician or a creative from around the world somewhere. Mm-hmm. And the first 12 minutes or so is me sharing some of my creative process, and then the next 15 minutes is this artist sharing their creative process. So it's all live on YouTube.
I see. Right, and you have a decent size YouTube following as well, right? That's kind of how you got started in sort of the social media world or the content creation world. Is that right?
Yeah, well, you know, I like everyone else. I put a YouTube video up 10 years ago, my first YouTube video up,
right.
And fortunately, I put the right one up. I put this instructional video of how to play the ancient hand whistle, and over the last 10 years, it's gotten about 4 million views.
Oh, wow!
And
okay.
There was a while it took off for a while. There was a while I was earning $200 a month from YouTube because this one video. So I've acquired over 10 years. I've acquired 10,000 followers or subscribers.
Right.
But they don't really translate into this show I'm doing. They're not.
Oh, I see. Okay.
I haven't really maintained the community. This one video basically brought them all in. I haven't been building my YouTube community over the last 10 years. Like I would say right now, my TikTok community is pretty strong, but it's hard to bring TikTok people over to YouTube.
Right.
And that's what I would love to do. It's like, everybody, come on, jump off of TikTok and come over and see me on YouTube.
Right, exactly.
Even to get them over to Instagram is hard. Like, come on, everybody, come over and follow me on Instagram.
I see, right.
But this whole world is really new to me. I am a total newbie, but it's fascinating. I mean, really, I've been watching this guy Jim V. Yeah, not Jim V. He's a famous YouTube guy. I can't think of his name. Oh, I gotta get it though. Hold on a second.
Okay.
Gary V.
Oh, Gary V. Sure, yeah.
Gary V. And I watched an episode of his today, and there was someone asking. He was interviewing Charlie D'Amadio, who is the biggest star on TikTok.
Oh, I see. Okay.
And she was asking his advice. She was saying, "I'm huge on TikTok, but what should I do? Should I try to jump over to YouTube?" And he said, double down on TikTok, triple down on TikTok. You know, make it your home and make it huge. And so I was hearing that for the first time. I keep feeling like I got to bring these people over to YouTube because that's where I can have ads and sort of build a little bit more money making.
Sure.
But he was saying triple down on TikTok because that's the place to be right now.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, well, I guess I'm at the right place.
Right.
Maybe I should just triple down here.
Yeah, I think it's probably a good idea. Gary's pretty educated or experienced with all the social media applications that are going on out there. I was just going to ask you about the monetization aspect of TikTok for the moment. Is there one, or do you have any ad platform behind it?
Nothing that I've experienced.
I see.
Apparently,
okay.
when you're going live, people can leave you tips by giving you these weird gifts.
Oh, I see. Okay.
But I've never actually received any. And
yeah, maybe there'll be eventually like a Patreon-esque aspect to it or something like that. Yeah, I think most applications are kind of going that way to have like tip jars, virtual tip jars and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Eventually, pretty interesting. Well, we got a few minutes left on the podcast, but there's always a couple questions I like to ask people. Such as yourself when you come on, and one of them is about technology. So you mentioned that, hey, you're kind of a newbie, you're kind of trying to figure all this technology out. We are of a certain age that we didn't grow up on it. We're not 10-year-old girls that are fooling around on TikTok that are like mastering it, right now. But how do you think about technology and its role in what you're doing and how it's, affecting your craft?
Well, I'm loving technology right now. I mean, I feel like fortunately I started learning some things a while ago. Like I've been playing around. I've been doing video editing now for maybe 10 years in Final Cut Pro. I'll just tell this honest story. There was a time when the only thing I used the computer for was email and pornography. And
okay.
And I am so grateful that I haven't looked at porn in many years, and that I am actually using this tool to do really good work. And like I'm using Ableton Live for producing music, and I'm getting familiar with that. I'm using Final Cut Pro for video work, and now I'm using Ecamm Live to do my live show.
Okay.
And I'm using Skype within Ecamm Live to interview people from around the world. This show is like, it's just like one technical challenge after another. But fortunately, 8 episodes later, I'm starting to get a flow a little bit, and I'm not having as many technical troubles as I was. The first couple of shows were just like terrifying, and it was a disaster. It's like I'm about to go live, and there's no sound, and like I have no idea where the sound is, and what button do I push?
Right.
But fortunately, for some reason, I've just really picked up on the technology pretty well. And I'd like to be even better. I'd like to be more fluid using Photoshop and the whole Adobe suites. I'd love to just be fluid in that.
Right. Yeah, I think you're right. So I watched the later of your episodes. I think it was episode 7 and 8 of your show, and I was watching it, and I was like, man, there's a lot of like cool production stuff you got going on. You're like putting up charts like as you're talking, and then dialing people in and playing clips and stuff like that. I'm like, I don't know how to do any of that stuff. I know how to record videos,
I've
basic
been learning
video.
just the last couple of weeks.
But I was like, wow, okay, cool. So yeah, it's just good to hear that. Like, it's always a challenge for me, and I think challenge for people listening out there of like, what should they lean into? What should they keep discovering? Should they kind of go down the rabbit hole and spend a lot of time here or there? It's hard to know what to do. So it's always awesome to hear people's real experience of how it's affected them and impacted them positively or negatively. But that leads into my next question, which is, as you're thinking about this stuff, like you sound like you're someone that's had an open mind in terms of discovery and exploration. How do you continue to keep an open mind as the world's changing so much more quickly now, it feels like to me, and especially like in the age of this virus, COVID and stuff, where we're kind of maybe pushed into more technology. How do you keep your mind open to continuing to learn and diving in?
Well, I am, if there were such a thing as addicted to learning new things, I might be one of those people. Like whenever I have a spare time, I'm watching tutorials. I'm watching tutorials on YouTube. Mm-hmm. Like the number of tutorials on YouTube that I could be watching every day. I'm like, okay, what do I want to learn today?
Oh, okay.
And I'm like, what? And then I go, today I want to learn stream. I can't remember this tech. I want to learn how to stream whatever, mm-hmm. blah, blah, blah.
Right, yeah.
Or like I want to learn the Gary Vee technique to, I feel like there aren't enough hours in the day to learn everything that I want to learn. And there aren't enough years, and there's not enough energy in my body, and I'm 52 and I have some chronic illness. And I wish I had enough energy and focus to learn all the things I want to learn.
Right.
But I'm really, sometimes I joke. I mean, it's a sort of a bad joke, but it's like the COVID was created by an evil introvert that wanted to give a chance for all the introverts to shine.
Oh, right. Right.
I've been waiting my whole life just to stay home and do, connect with people one-on-one like we're doing.
Right.
And to just do my work and to enjoy a quiet life here at home.
Right.
And I'm so blessed. I mean, the fact that I'm blessed enough to be able to stay home, I realize that not everyone has the good fortune that I have, and they're out on the front lines,
right?
Doing jobs that I just wouldn't be cut out for.
Right, for sure. Well, it's really cool that they can be at home these days and be fruitful, but also have an impact, like a real impact in the world. That's cool. Bring your creativity, bring people together, and such. You got me thinking in terms of like where you feel like there's not enough hours in the day to learn stuff and pivot. One of the questions I like to ask people right now, especially kind of in this COVID era, is what are you feeling urgent about? So like any urgency to kind of where you're at these days?
Good question. Oh, well, I hate to say it, but my urgency is about building my career. I wish it was something more or less self-centered.
Okay. Well, that's real, man.
But
I mean,
there is an urgent feeling like, okay, this is the moment, and I want to build something, and I really want to build something for the good. Like I want to create a community of artists, and I want to display their work. In fact, just today, last night, my friend Kim and I wrote a mission statement for my. And if you don't mind, I'll just read it.
Please do. I love it. Yeah.
Yeah, we came up with the vision of this show is to explore the creative process within myself and fellow musicians through conversation, music, and storytelling. And the mission is to create a regularly occurring show that spotlights the creativity of musicians from around the globe, while weaving my own creativity and musical endeavors throughout each program. To explore behind the music by asking thoughtful questions about the creative process and inviting guests to share their experience. So, Jim, you and I are probably on the same path here, dude.
I love it, dude. This show has got a nice, a very entrepreneurial aspect to it.
Uh-huh.
I like where your head's at. I think that's why I connected with you, even though I didn't know you just a few weeks ago. I was like, this guy's pretty interesting. He's reaching out there. He's kind of you have a lot of outreach, I think, aspect to what you're doing, like trying to create this community and pulling people into it. And it's pretty interesting. And I think, for other people that maybe aren't in the creative arts, but are just, doing online digital marketing or other types of businesses or service businesses or coaching, whatever it might be, there's a real parallel aspect to the creative part, I think, these days, where like the first 20 years of the internet was kind of revenge of the nerds. It was very techie focused. It was very like maybe, engineering and technology and software. I think this next 20 years is going to be more fruitful in some ways for all the creatives that are out there, where it's now we have this connectedness, and it's now about, well, what do we do with it? What do we do now that we're all connected? How can we communicate better? How can we, impact each other more positively and those kind of things? And I think sounds like to me that's what you're after. So, Hal, how do we keep building this? If people are interested in finding out more about you or checking out your show, This Moment in Music, is there a good location where you would send people if they're interested in connecting with you?
Yeah, the place to go is thismomentinmusic.com.
Okay.
It's very simple, thismomentinmusic.com. And also my website, which needs updating, is Hal Walker Music. HalWalkerMusic.com.
Okay.
And of course, I'm on Facebook, and TikTok is banakula, Banakula. But if you sign up for TikTok, just search for Hal Walker, and you will find me.
And I urge everyone who's listening out there to do that, because you have to see these instruments. You have to see the banakula.
Oh, by the way, the one place I'm trying to boost right now, I want to boost my Instagram account.
All right, let's do it.
I'm brand new to I recently discovered Instagram stories, and I'm like, this is what I've been waiting for. I'm so tired of Facebook posts. I'm so tired of posting on Facebook. And Instagram stories is a whole new thing. It's just like, bam, come on, everybody, we're doing this now. Come tomorrow. And then, whereas Facebook posts are just so stagnant. I like this Instagram story thing. And I'm a way late comer. I mean, it may be too late for me to get into Instagram, but.
Well, right. You never know. But what's your handle on Instagram?
Hal Walker Music.
Hal Walker Music. Okay. So search for that out there. Well, Hal, it's been awesome having you on the show. I'm super inspired just talking to you. So I know everyone out there listening is too. Yeah. It's been really cool.
I look forward to finding out more about this show and listening to some episodes.
Thank you for listening to Jim's Reinvention Revolution podcast. If you want to hear more, join our mailing list at jimjimsreinventionrevolution.com. See you next time. And remember, the revolution has just begun. So dig in, embrace the process of reinvention, and start realizing the success you've always dreamed of. Hey, revolutionaries, if you enjoyed today's episode and today's guest, let them know by commenting on their Facebook page, finding their Twitter handle or Instagram feed, and letting them know you heard them on Jim's Reinvention Revolution podcast, and tell them what you got out of the episode, what you really liked, or how they inspired you. I know they would get a kick out of it, and will help others find the same value that you found.